their hospitals respectively. Our correspondent quoted doctors as saying the victims are responding to treatment. President George Riyad is among over 140 world leaders attending the opening of the United Nations General Assembly's 78th section. UNGA is an annual event that brings together global leaders for a high-level debate that retrospects and discusses pertinent world issues. An executive mansion release said President George Weah will take the podium this Wednesday to address the world. The statement revealed that the Liberian leader is expected to reassure the UN General Assembly and the world of his unflinching commitment to the conduct of a free, fair, inclusive, and transparent election in October of this year. He is also expected to call for collective efforts in addressing climate change, democracy, and action to attain the sustainable development goals as well as addressing terrorism in Africa and the world at large. The 78th session of the General Assembly is being held under the theme Rebuilding Trust and Reenacting Global Solidarity, Accelerating Action on the 2030 Agenda and its SDGs towards peace, prosperity, progress, and sustainability for all. The presiding justice in Chimba at the Supreme Court has placed another stay order on former Chief Justice Gloria Musu's court and three others' murder trial at Criminal Court A. Associate Justice James Eto Wolokoli on Tuesday ordered Judge Roosevelt Willie to stop all proceedings or action in defendant Scott and others' litigation. Justice Owolokoli, according to RCA judicial correspondent, also cited defense and government lawyers for legal conference on Monday, September 25 of this year. The justice in Chambers' September 19, 2023 decision was triggered by the petition for a writ of certiorari filed by defendant Scott's legal team following Judge Willie's decision to suspend Solicitor General Consider Yanati Tuan. Our judicial correspondent further revealed that despite defense lawyers' petition, government lawyers have surfaced with similar petition before the justice in chamber, also seeking to correct Judge Willie's September 18, 2023 decision when he suspended Solicitor General Consider Yanti Tuan from the case. The political leader of the Liberian National Union, Dr. Clarence Moniba, has cautioned Liberians against what he calls making the same mistake they made during the 2017 elections. Dr. Moniba said Liberians cannot afford to make another same mistake at the polls that will make them to spend the next 6 years complaining about how the country is now developing. According to him, no student will graduate from high school without earning a technical or vocational certificate in their 3 years of high school if he is elected president in October. The son of former Vice President Dr. Harry Moniba said, as president, he will graduate people from high school who are also carpenters, plumbers, electricians, caterers, among others. At the same time, as Dr. Moniba said, government officials will declare their assets as required by law before taking office. Report says President George Weah and his Vice President Joel Howard Taylor are divided over their support to candidates in Bon County. RCA Bon County correspondent said during the president's recent visit to Bon County, his re-election bid was hugely endorsed by District 6 Representative Mwema Brice Mensa, a strong ally to Vice President Taylor. But According to our correspondent, President Riyad, on the contrary, endorsed William Thompson, the coalition's candidate in District Number 6. Our correspondent noted that President George Riyad endorsed the senatorial bid of District Number 5 representative candidate. That's Representative Edward Kafia against Johnny Quay, who has been supported by VP Taylor. The establishment coordinator of the Angie Brooks International Center for Women Empowerment has urged media practitioners to be gender sensitive in their reportage during these elections. Councillor Yvette Chesson Red cautioned journalists against using their various platforms to disseminate denigrating things against female candidates in the race. Speaking Tuesday at a one-day media engagement workshop organized by the Angie Brooks International Center in Monrovia, Councillor Chesson were front at journalists who, she said, are letting go of their professionalism and are being used by politicians to attack female candidates in these elections. She meanwhile called on media practitioners to exhibit their journalistic ethics in the presentation of candidates during the elections void of bias. Montserrat County District Number 4 representative candidate Liability has received huge endorsement from residents of Bernard Farm by their town community in Painesville. Ability's endorsement comes as a result of the installation of several solar lights across the community. According to some residents, the community got connected to the electricity grid since 2019, but the lack of streetlights over the years poses serious security threat to residents of the community, especially at night hours. A Liberian health practitioner, Dr. Maxwell Suwa, is challenging Liberian students to be steadfast in their academic sojourn. Dr. Suwa said, perseverance is the quality of achieving their goals irrespective of challenges in society. Speaking Tuesday at the 10th graduation exercise of the James and Davis SD High School in Painesville, Dr. Swart admonished the graduates to make use of every opportunity provided them in seeking higher education. He told the graduates not to allow any circumstances in life distract them from reaching the top, using his personal life story as an inspiration to members of the graduating class. Montserrat County District Number 3 representative candidate Topper Wonoke has launched a $10 million Liberian grant in the district. Speaking Monday when he presented over 300,000 Liberian dollars to some groups, the human rights activist turned this year's elections, he will establish a credit union in the district to address the challenge faced by business people in accessing finance. Away from Liberia, police in Nigeria say 5 officers have been killed during an attack in Imo State in the southeast of the country. Separatists in the area have frequently targeted police stations and government buildings. The authorities have blamed the banned group, the indigenous people of Biafra, for most of the attacks, but the group has not commented. Indigenous people of Biafra has been campaigning for the Igbo people of southeastern Nigeria to have their own independent country. Local media reports say at least 8 people were killed in the latest violence, including soldiers and members of Nigeria's Civil Defense Corps a paramilitary agency. Well, Marcus, that's a news bulletin.
The news bulletin is a regular feature here on News Desk. Thanks to Olivia Bowen for reading the news bulletin. If you're just joining us, you are listening to 45 minutes of news from the News and Current Affairs Department at the Renaissance Communications Incorporated. In one of the top stories we are following tonight, President George Weah to address over 140 world leaders at the United Nations General Assembly this Wednesday in New York, with the pending elections expected to dominate the president's speech. Let's take our first development. 3 persons are reported dead and several others injured as a result of a tragic motor accident on the Ganta Monrovia Highway. According to RC Nimba County correspondent, the accident involved a commercial taxi and a truck on Tuesday. Nya Flomo has been explaining more to RCR News. All right, I got the not put on the.
3 persons were pronounced dead by the Ganta United Medical Hospital family, and all of the 3 persons lost their life in the accident. They have already been identified by family members, and 1 person already been laid to rest. So 144 from district number 8, the one who already been buried, for Asato Mami Koma, and 2 that she is for Brode in District 4, and James Tupe is from Monrovia. So the 3 persons who lost their life in the accident.
Now, Flomo is RCR Nimba County correspondent there with that report. The political leader of the Liberian National Union, or LINU, Dr. Clarence Moniba, has cautioned the Liberians against what he calls making the same mistake they made during the 2017 elections. Dr. Monima said Liberians cannot afford to make another major mistake at the polls that will make them to spend the next 6 years complaining about how the country is not developing. According to him, no student will from high school without earning a technical and vocational certificate in their 3 years of high school if he is elected president.
So let me tell you again about the country that I really live out of those people that I work for the people of my business. In education, the graduates in high school without earning a technical educational certificate in their 3 years of high school. As president, we will graduate people from high school who are also carpenters, plumbers, electricians, and caterers, among other skilled professionals. On the issue of corruption, every single government official will have to declare their assets as required by law before ever stepping 1 foot in any office. We cannot be tired of billions of dollars of our people's money without first letting the people of this country know their personal wealth and finances. Also, to fight corruption, we have to do away with the culture of impunity, where nobody is held accountable. Under the Moniba Khan administration, people who steal government money will go to jail. Our ultimate priority should be to turn Liberia into a self-producing nation where the price of food will decrease and the good-paying jobs in this country will increase. In the healthcare sector, I have said it over and over again. We are going to build this country district by district. These people in Liberia have a modern, functioning country, but the people of this finances. Also, to fight corruption, we have to do away with standards and become impunity when nobody is accountable. We will have a zero tolerance policy on the issues of drug importation in this country. If you bring or sell drugs in Nigeria, whatever you will face the full weight of the law with no exception, and you will be in jail. If you think we are joking, try it on the result of our administration, and you will regret it immediately. Everybody who seeks to destroy our people, especially the youth of this country, will be treated as an enemy of the state, because that is exactly if Nigeria truly wants change. We have to change the people who are living in this country.
Dr. Clarence Monimba is the presidential candidate on the ticket of the Liberian National Union. They're speaking Monday in Painesville. Reports says President George Weah and his Vice President Joel Howard Taylor are divided over their choice of candidates in Bon County. RCR Bon County correspondent said during the president's recent visit to the county, his re-election bid was hugely endorsed by District 6 Representative Moima Briggs Mensah, a strong ally to Vice President Joel Howard Taylor. But according to our correspondent, President Weah, on the contrary, endorsed Williams Thompson, the coalition's candidate in District number 6. As our correspondent Selma Lomax reports, the president and vice president are divided over who to support across the districts in the county.
Support for the president's re-election, as the main factor for a decision to support the president's re-election. So it was expected that the president would have endorsed for a re-election bill, but contrary to that, our FM had ever reported that tension was high ahead of the president's arrival last week. So the president endorsed the candidacy of the TDC's candidate William Thompson at the expense of Moima Briggs Mensah. And they said that was the result that many thought that the president had not been present would have remained quiet. But the president endorsed William Thompson, who is the candidate of the CDC at the expense of Moima Briggs Mensah. And Briggs Mensah had already been endorsed by Vice President Joel Howard Taylor. And in the Victoria District 5, the president endorsed Eugene Collins, the candidate of the CDC, at the expense of the vice president's candidate, Franklin Bakulakuya. Victoria District 1, the president endorsed Daniel Williams of the CDC at the expense of the vice president's candidate, Lady Kemoon. And for the Senate race, the president endorsed Pedro Cassia Senate booth at the expense of Felipe's Bishop Charles Ben endorsed the difficult because the president has this new candidate, the people who are contesting on the parties of tickets, and the vice president has similar, the vice president has different candidates. And so I think transpired 2020 when the president came in Boncounty and all the senator paid a full Boncounty senator, and the vice president has different opinions. She denied Dolia, she called all authorities to full against Yara, and at the end, Yara lost the 2020 senator election in Boncounty. So there is similar thing in Boncounty.
Selma Lomax is RCR Bon County correspondent there speaking. The establishment coordinator of the Angie Brooks International Center for Women Empowerment has urged media practitioners to be gender sensitive in their reportage during these elections in Liberia. Madam Yvette Cheson-Wure cautioned journalists against using their various platforms to disseminate denigrating things about female candidates in the race. Speaking Tuesday at a one-day media engagement workshop organized by the Angie Brooks International Center in Monrovia, Councillor Cheson-Wure frowned at journalists who, she said, are letting go of their professionalism and are being used by politicians to attack female candidates in the elections.
politics. That you're more concerned with what's between their legs than what's between their ears. And that worries us. Because women don't get into politics for what's between their legs. They get into politics for what's between their ears. And it's amazing we find that journalists don't want to hear what's between their ears. They don't want to hear the ideas. They don't want to know how women are going to make a difference. And that is amazing, especially in Liberia. We also know that when women are in politics, the violence that covers them is worse than the violence that covers men. That people are violent when they are violent in political campaigns and things are violent and go after women. They don't go after women anymore to scare them. They go after them to kill them. And we wonder, where are the journalists? We know the power of the pen. We all know the power of the pen. That's why you're in journalism. But it would be great if that power could be used for good. It would be great if that power were used to change the narrative in Liberia. It would be great if we would be accountable. We are aware that many politicians have journalists working for them, whether it's radio stations, TV stations, or just simply writing for them. But we ask the journalists, you became a journalist because you had a conscience. And I'm speaking to you because I've been a journalist. I know what it is to be a journalist. And I'm saying to you, you now have the online media, which gives you even wider, broader scope of reaching the people. But are we using it to change this country so that we see a change, we see a difference? That when you're reporting on a female candidate, you're not saying how far her skirt is up. Because I seldom hear how low a man's chest hair is. We never hear it, but we hear how far the female skirt is up, or she's showing her thigh, she's showing her breast. All of this is in the papers, and not what's between her ears. And I'm asking you as we go forward, please start reporting what's between the woman's ears. Let her compete in real time. Let her say what she's thinking.
She is the establishment coordinator of the Angie Brooks International Center for Women Empowerment, Councillor Yvette Chesanwure, there speaking at a one-day media engagement in Monrovia. The head of the Liberian Institute of Certified Public Accountants, LICPA, has been elected to head the accountancy bodies of West Africa, ABWA. The election of Victor Tawani took place at the recent ABWA Council meeting in Banjul, the Gambia. In his induction statement, Tawan vowed to pursue inclusiveness and encourage active participation of all professional accountancy organizations, or PAOs, within the sub-region. He spoke to reporters Tuesday in Monrovia about his election.
We were in Banjul on the 15th of September 2023 at the 99th Council meeting of ABWA, where the elections was formalized and I was unanimously elected president, and my investiture took place there. And now I serve as the 28th president of the Association of Accountancy Bodies in West Africa. In the message of the outgoing president, who is the president of the Order of Professional Accountants in Cote d'Ivoire, Mr. Brice Hakone, Olankuni said, we follow the LICPA for a very long time, and giving a history since 1933, I was surprised when I visited the Gramda Street office 2 years back, and then coming to Liberia during the ABWA ECOWAS Congress, and we dedicated a new building, a secretariat for the institute. And considering that LICPA is a small PAO with not more than 100 members and 50 financial members, the way we did it, we believe that you can take ABWA to the next level. So the decision was taken unanimously, given the work that we've done in Liberia and the success of the Congress itself. When they came to Liberia, what they saw in more than 86 years, we are able to acquire this edifice that requires a lot of money. And with just few members, they felt that the leadership is there. They believe that the competency is there to help the regional body to the next level. So they took the decision and I accepted. So it speaks volume. It speaks a lot of things for professional accountants from within the 15 West African states to unanimously elect you as the next president. Speaks a lot of things. First and foremost, in my acceptance speech, I said to ABWA that I am going to develop policies that will gear towards bringing on board motivational incentives. We've witnessed over time the decline in the interest of some of our PAOs and members of ABWA. So I tried to understand what was the reason behind it. And ABWA, according to them, was not involved in building the capacity of PAOs, especially the emerging ones, the smaller ones. So I said in my acceptance speech, I'm going to develop programs that will motivate members, that will motivate our dormant members, the active members, to come on board and participate actively in the activities of ABWA. And I said to them, we will use our relationship from Liberia, where we work with development partners. We are going to do that to develop concept paper projects for ABWA, where we are going to market the World Bank, the African Development Bank, the United Nations Development Program, such that ABWA will be giving funding going around West Africa and work with PAOs, the LICPA, the one from Gambia, from Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, that don't have big numbers to, work with us, build the capacity to ensuring that these institutes can be independent on their own in such a way that they can run their own examinations.
Victor Tawan is the president of the Liberian Institute of Certified Public Accountants, who was recently elected as president of the accountancy bodies of West Africa, ABWA. They're speaking to reporters Tuesday in Monrovia. At this point in the news, we'll cross over now to Naomi Tapia to bring out sports. Good evening, Naomi.
Good evening, Maka. Good evening, everyone. Some residents of FDA Winston and other communities have expressed appreciation to District Number 4 Representative Kennedy Liability for organizing tournament for all communities in the district. It can record Liability at a weekend launch a 1.5 million Liberian dollars competition in football and kickball categories at a Winston feed. Liability Foundation defeated Artists Association 3-2 in the match that marked the official launching ceremony. Kennedy Ability scored a penalty for the artists, while talk show host Oni Roberts netted a goal with a brilliant strike. Speaking after the match, some female participants lauded Liability for the initiative.
My name is Punjabi Ganga. I'm from Borough Committee. We have three principles that we interested in secretary, football, and the top we can see that we need. I think that it is true. And the black Canadian organizing of community league, where you see treasure and see a lot of stuff, you see musicians, all that stuff. Before I will need it just for free. Anytime you want to go, I will need it just for free. Thank you to him. They will be here for the youth. At least who knows the thing I was sitting and our brother on the street, teaching or taking bar, but I don't want to say anything. They will be here for the youth. Because I'm a great son. I have football, the youth, thank you for all the I'm so happy for this tournament for our life. It is trying to take our brother and sister. And I feel like you will win it this year. I'll be happy. Even I never want to take it. I'm so happy for you.
Voices of some female participants. The Antoinette Todman student was center of attraction Tuesday with tennis match that witnessed Soccer Ambassadors FC Byron to Basel Girls FC 1-0 in the day's first encounter of the Women's Upper League. At a summer candle practice pitch, Stages Queens and F Angels settled for a 1-1 draw in the second exciting fixture, where the two South Feet battles saw a 6-0 thumping of Blanco FC. Bakeries based Shatter Angels FC to climax Tuesday's soccer fiesta. The women's national team of Liberia has arrived in Cape Verde to compete in the first leg of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations 2024 qualifying match. The delegation, which is headed by Executive Committee member Tikle Mukone, left Liberia on Tuesday morning. The female Lone Star will take on Cape Verde on Friday, the 22nd of September in Prague, with the return leg taking place on Tuesday, 26 September at the Samarkand Sports Complex in Monrovia. Coach Salam Kabidi toured counties across the country searching for the best cream of talents before naming a 22-player squad list for the games. Friday's game would be her first major game since taking on the post as head coach in July of this year. Coach Salam believes that having Pauline Abusu and Minnie Eden on her team will be beneficial for the competition. Abuso recently played for Oxipis against Juventus in the UEFA Women's Champions League. Friday's meeting will be the second between both teams in their first ever encounter, which took place in the third place playoffs of the 2020 WAFU A Women's Tournament in Sierra Leone. Liberia won 1-0. In international development, Manchester United manager Eric Ten Hag says he has never started his best 11 as his injury hit side prepared to face Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Ten Hag is without 12 first-team players as United take on Bundesliga champions in Germany on Wednesday. This includes Rafael Varane, Mason Mount, and Harry Maguire, who have not traveled to Munich. Defender Varane and midfielder Mount both took part in the open session of the training at United's Carrington Training Center on Tuesday morning. The race hopes they will be able to return from injury for the opening game in Group A, which also includes Turkey's Galatasaray and FC Copenhagen from Denmark. Varane has missed the past 2 games among 3, with United making an underwhelming start to the Premier League season, losing 3 of their first 5 games. Centre-back Maguire also trained on Tuesday, but picked up an injury which rules him out. Ten Hag is also missing forwards Anthony and Jadon Sancho, who are not training with the squad at present, plus Dutch midfielder Donny, who is not registered for European games. Saturday's 3-1 defeat to Brighton at Old Trafford on Saturday leaves United 13th in the Premier League table, but Ten Hag says his side are not in the need of a major reset. That's all for now, sports.
It's a regular feature here on News Desk. Thanks to Naomi Tapia. If you're just joining us in one of the top stories we are following tonight, another setback in former Chief Justice Gloria Mususka's murder trial as Supreme Court places stay order on the case following the suspension of the country's Solicitor General from the trial. In more news tonight, Montserrado County District Number 4 representative candidate Liability has received huge endorsement from residents of Benner Farm, Peloton community in Painesville. Ability endorsement comes as a result of the installation of several solar lights across the community. According to some residents, the community got connected to the national electricity grid since 2019, but the lack of street lights or the community lacks street lights over the years, posing serious security threat to the residents of the community, especially at night hours.
In our community, so many people working in them, we have to get immediately. Oh, yeah, we are talking. We need more. I get my phone over there, send my phone and internet. I use that one for them. Okay, I get the model. Anything you say, you do it. Or you can something you can't do it. God bless you. God bless you. Oh, God bless you. I went to work for you. Papa. Be number one. Maybe I'm not solar with you.
Some residents of Bena Farm, Peloton community in Painesville, the praising Monserrato District 4 Representative candidate liability for the installation of solar lights across the community. A Liberian health practitioner, Dr. Maxwell Sua, is challenging Liberian students to be steadfast in their academic sojourn. Dr. Sua said, perseverance is the quality of achieving their goals, irrespective of challenges in society. Speaking Tuesday at the 10th graduation of the James N. Davis SDA High School in Painesville, Dr. Sua admonished the graduates to make use of every opportunity provided them in seeking higher education.
Achieve a particular aim, just like the failure and opposition. In elementary school, we have problems, but we cannot stop there. We must have the courage to persevere to acquire education. My quest for education made me to see hunger with my own eyes. I saw hunger with my eyes because I wanted to get an education in the refugee camp. I'm inspiring you today because you are graduating from high school. You are about to enter the people world. Some of you will go to university. Some of you will go to technical and vocational school. You will find the study there. But let those difficulties not let you down. Let it be like a failure, let it be like a motivation for you. Our quest for education made us to start paying our own school fees from 7th grade. But do not make use of the opportunity that you have when you go out there tomorrow to get in school.
He is a Liberian health practitioner, Dr. Maxwell Sua, speaking at the 10th graduation of the James and Davis SDA High School in Painesville. For his part, the principal of the school, Quincy Mendua, called on the graduates to reflect on the moment of the journey as they move into the greater society.
Telling that as you stand at the threshold of a new chapter in their life, it is now time that you reflect on a moment and look at the journey they have come from. We want to admonish them as they walk through this high school that they should put themselves together. As we all are aware, we are in an election period, that they should govern themselves and remain tolerant, because Liberia is all that we have, that we are encouraging them that they all may vote wisely so that Liberia can be a better place for everyone. Express my DPS gratitude for their support throughout their educational journey, the love they show for the children, their guardians, and sacrifices they have played an instrumental role in their success. And to the education department, I want to also extend my gratitude for entrusting me with the responsibility of serving as headmaster of this institution.
He is the principal of the James and Davis SDA School in Painesville, Quincy Mendua, there speaking. Finally, Monserrato County District 3 Representative candidate Toba Wanake has launched a $10 million Liberian grant in the district. Speaking Monday when he presented over $300,000 Liberian dollars to some groups, the human rights activist turned politician said the gesture is in fulfillment of his promise to give loans to residents of the district to support local businesses. Wanake disclosed that after this year's elections, he will establish a credit union in the district to address the challenge faced by business people in accessing finance.
We have announced for many months now that first we're going to be loan, meaning we're going to borrow you money to do your small business, and then when you get your lead, you pay on back. Later on, we thought about it and said, many of you are struggling. If you borrow money now, you cannot afford to pay back. So we decided that instead of it being loan, we will make it grant, meaning free. And we will do what we say we will do. Starting a process like this is very difficult because this is a process that we promise through all of our key engagements. We make promises. We don't say how many ways we're able to do people, and you get all the power on me. I just want to be clear. I expect to do, so we want to continue. However, here's how it will continue. I also said that after all of this great process over, after the election, I will start a credit union here in district number 3. When this process is over and the election is over, I will start a credit union here in district number 3 for our people. The reason for that is we don't want our people to continue to go to Access Bank. We don't want our people to continue to be exposed to humiliation, the disgrace, access them, and then end up seizing their property. Whenever you have need to borrow money, you will come to me. And the interest rate I will give you will be less than half of what they will give you.
T. Wanake is a representative candidate in District Number 3, Monserrato County. They're speaking. Well, this is all the time we've got to be with you tonight on News Desk. But before we leave, these are the top stories we followed. At least 3 persons reported dead and several others injured in a tragic road accident along the Ganta-Monrovia Highway. President George Weah to address over 140 world leaders at the United Nations General Assembly this Wednesday in New York, with the pending October elections expected to dominate the president's speech. Another setback in former Chief Justice Gloria Musu's murder trial as Supreme Court places stay order on the case following the recent suspension of the Solicitor General from the case. And out of Liberia, police in Nigeria say 5 officers have been killed during an attack in Imo State in the southeast of the country. Many thanks to all of you for your listening. Real thanks to those who follow us via Real TV Live on Facebook. Thanks to our reporters and all those who helped to make this edition a success. Olivia Bound read the news bulletin. Naomi Tapia brought us sports on News Desk tonight. Johnson Batoma coordinated the sounds. Mayan Tobian also controlled the camera. My name is Maka Davis. I presented. Good night.
When it comes to communication in Liberia, Orange is number 1.
Orange is the best. Orange is the best. Oh, Orange is the best.
Orange is the best.
Strongest network, widest coverage,
Orange is the best.
fastest internet speed.
Orange is the best.
People, Orange is the best. Yes, Orange is the best.
Lamakitie, Naratama, please whoop. Copenhagen, that's the Orange. Top number 1. Swing
Company is Orange. I don't got the best.
Orange will more you the telephone on phone.
Reliable, trusted, and dependable.
Orange is about 7. Yeah, Orange is
Orange is the best.
It's all about what matters to you. Orange.